All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We live in a world that is just absolutely obsessed with speed and optimization. We constantly want the fastest route, the quickest fix, the ultimate life hack to get us to our goals. And preferably, we want it by yesterday. We kind of treat ourselves like smartphones that just need a quick software update to run faster and be more productive. But what if our desperate rushing is actually the very thing slowing us down? Today we're exploring this fascinating and completely counterintuitive concept drawn from the work of author Don Miguel Ruiz. It's essentially a riddle that challenges everything modern hustle culture has taught us. We're calling it "Don't Rush the Butterfly," the paradox of growth. And to really wrap our heads around this, we need to look at a story that perfectly sets up this whole puzzle.
So the source material starts with this deeply relatable anecdote. Imagine a man who is just desperate to transcend his suffering. He wants enlightenment, he wants inner peace, and above all, he wants a timeline for when he will finally achieve it. We've all been there, right? Trying to fast-track our personal growth. So he tracks down this wise Buddhist master and asks a pretty pointed question. Master, if I meditate 4 hours a day, how long will it take me to transcend? He's basically looking for a concrete schedule, a clear return on his heavy investment of time and daily energy. The master just looks at him calmly and replies, if you meditate 4 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 10 years.
Now, eager to speed up the process, because honestly, who wants to wait 10 whole years for inner peace, right? The man thinks, okay, I'll just double down. He asks the master, well, what if I meditate 8 hours a day? The master looks at him, perfectly still, and delivers a punchline that flips this guy's entire worldview totally upside down. The master says, then it may take you 20 years. Okay, pause. Think about the mind-bending math here. 4 hours of effort equals 10 years. 8 hours of effort equals 20 years. By doubling his effort and pushing twice as hard, the man actually doubled his timeline to success. It makes absolutely no sense at first glance, right?
So the big question is this. Isn't more effort supposed to bring quicker results? It goes against literally everything we're taught from childhood. If you want to lift more weights, well, you push harder. If you want a promotion, you work longer hours. It's simple math. But in our mad dash to force a specific outcome, we hit this wall of cognitive dissonance. We forget a fundamental rule of nature. When we push too hard and too fast, especially when we're talking about personal, spiritual, or emotional growth, we can actually severely slow down our progress. In fact, we might even cause ourselves genuine harm. Because the hard truth is, you simply cannot life hack maturity.
And our source material provides this visceral biological metaphor that brilliantly illustrates exactly why we can't force that growth. It says, if you force a pupa to break out of its cocoon before it's ready, you cripple the butterfly for life. It's an incredibly powerful image. Think about it. If you see a butterfly struggling to emerge from its chrysalis and you decide to, help it by peeling back the cocoon with your own hands, you actually deprive that insect of the necessary physical struggle that pumps fluid into its wings. By aggressively trying to speed up a natural process, you don't save the butterfly at all. You destroy its ability to ever fly. Your shortcut literally becomes its permanent handicap. And this paradox, it plays out constantly in our everyday reality. We do exactly what that impatient man in the story did. We overemphasize one single aspect of our lives at the brutal expense of everything else. Like say you spend long, grueling hours in intense religious or self-improvement practices, but you completely neglect your relationships and your family in the process. You are actually delaying your spiritual growth. And the exact same logic applies to the modern digital trap, right? Spending endless time optimizing this perfectly curated life on social media, which ultimately just distracts us from the real human connections and the inner peace we desperately seek offline. Hyper-focusing on forcing one specific result creates this dangerous, crippling imbalance across our entire lives.
So how do we actually navigate this without clipping our own wings? Well, the source outlines a really clear framework for achieving balanced growth. And the main overarching theme here is about honoring your inner journey while still successfully managing your outer responsibilities. It basically means living attentively. You don't stubbornly rush ahead of where you currently are, but you also make sure you don't lazily fall behind. True human maturity, cultivating skills, finding spiritual depth, these things just simply cannot be achieved by brute force. Instead, we have to gracefully allow each season of our lives to do its quiet, steady work within us.
Which brings us to this core idea. We are not machines to be optimized. We are souls unfolding. I'm going to say that again because it's so important. We are not machines to be optimized. We are souls unfolding. We spend so much of our days trying to increase our own processing speed, acting like we're just, hardware that needs a better algorithm to function. But a machine is built on an assembly line. A soul unfolds. It's a completely different paradigm. You don't optimize a flower into blooming, you give it the right environment, the right nutrients, and then you just wait. The gentle, natural rhythm of our inner development is so much more profound and delicate than the harsh, rapid pace of the mechanical world around us.
And that brings us to the final actionable steps derived from Ruse's insights. First, trust the process. Second, find your rhythm. And third, take your time. Now, I know it sounds so simple, but in our fast-paced modern society, actually executing this is practically a radical act of rebellion. The most fruitful growth happens with balance and grace. When we finally stop trying to force the cocoon open, we give ourselves the vital space we actually need to truly develop. True maturity unfolds slowly, beautifully, a lot like a butterfly's wings drying in the warm sun after a really long, dark period of transformation. You have to find your own unique rhythm, not the exhausting rhythm that society demands of you.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Where in your life are you rushing your own butterfly? What outcome are you trying to force so incredibly hard that you might actually be crippling your own long-term progress? Whether it's a huge career milestone, a really complex relationship, or even just your own personal healing, maybe it's time to stop pulling at the cocoon. Step back, take a breath, and just let the beauty of your life unfold exactly as it's meant to, right on time. Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating paradox with me today.